for the Florence-Henry Falcons. Leading off and playing catcher, number 2, Ashlyn Vavruska. Batting second and pitching.
Good afternoon and welcome to Aberdeen, South Dakota, as we are bringing you the Class B state tournament between the Florence-Henry Falcons and the Alcester-Hudson Cubs, as they are currently announcing starting lineups.
Batting fourth and playing shortstop, number 1, Haley Vavruska.
So Florence-Henry is the 5th seed, Alcester-Hudson is the 4th seed. Just a reminder, our Alcester-Hudson sponsors are Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty, Custom Coils, Hudson Meats and Sausage, So Storm Quilt Shop, Waddy's Bar and Grill, Premier Bank, Farmers Co-op Society, Kopman Heating and Cooling, and Eastway Auto of Beersford. And our corporate sponsor, as you can see on the screen, is Murph's Appliance. I did have an RSS scrolling with everybody's name on it, but I cannot find it for some reason.
And your flex player is
so I do apologize, but both Zach and I had games at 10, and they got done late. We're just getting set up. So
writer, assistant coach.
We have been broadcast you and brought you Alcester-Hudson softball for the last couple of years. Had the chance to interview a number of the players on this team just last week, Coach Moeller and then a number of the players. And so Emma Solberg will be leading off for this Alcester-Hudson Cubs. Batting second, playing catcher, number 2, Paxton Moeller, also Miss Teen, South Dakota. Batting third and playing pitcher is Emma Moeller. She'll be playing at Mount Marty in the fall. Batting fourth and playing first base is number 21, Delta Pies. Batting fifth and third base is Jenna Manning, number 18. A lot of these players have been with them for all 3 years. Jaylee Christensen, number 6, batting 6th. We interviewed her as well.
Batting 7th and playing shortstop, number 9, Lainey Decker.
Lainey Decker is the shortstop, playing number 9, playing 7th. Batting 8th, playing second is Lexi Miller. And batting 9th is number 14, Ava Kingman. And so that's your lineup for the Alcester-Hudson Cubs. Dean Moeller is the coach. We've had a chance to talk to Coach Moeller a number of times for this for these last few tournaments. So excited for that. Now, I don't know. I don't think we do national anthem. Exactly. Nope. We are getting started right away. So it'll be Alcester-Hudson in the field first. They are the higher seed, taking on the Florence-Henry Falcons. This should be a great matchup. The 4-5 matchups are always so good. And so we hope you'll enjoy this matchup. Brought to you by our sponsors, again, Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty, Custom Coils, Hudson Meats and Sausage, So Storm Quilt Shop, Waddy's Bar and Grill, Premier Bank, Farmers Co-op Society, Kopman Heating and Cooling, and Eastway Auto out of Beersford. We'll be back right after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance.
Looking for a partner you can count on this season? Farmers Co-op Society is here for you, on the farm and beyond. From high-performance agronomy services, expert feed solutions, to trusted grain markets, FCS works alongside you to grow stronger every day. Proudly serving our local communities with innovation, integrity, and heart. And from all of us at Farmers Co-op Society, good luck to the Alcester-Hudson softball team at state. You've got this. Farmers Co-op Society, built for business, backed by relationships.
South Dakota's quilt shop destination can be found at So Storm Quilt Shop in Alcester. Bold fabrics, timeless patterns, kits, and more. They have everything you need to bring your project to life and create your new precious heirloom. Every week you can find a new Friday feature or check out their Facebook and Instagram for videos and stay up to date on all new fabrics. Located at 114 East 2nd Street in Alcester, So Storm Quilt Shop is a proud sponsor of Alcester-Hudson Athletics and Sewing Up a Storm.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion. Florence-Henry and Alcester-Hudson, both 16-3 on the season. Alcester-Hudson with their 3 losses, 1 to West Central, the top seed in Class A. Vermilion, 8th seed in Class A, as well as Elk Point Jefferson, the 7th seed in Class A. Florence-Henry, they lost to Horace. They lost to Horace, they lost to Dual, and they lost to Castlewood. So quality losses there as well. All right. Leadoff batter for Florence-Henry is Ashlyn Vavrushka, the catcher. First pitch is a ball. 1-0. Emma Moeller pitching for Alcester-Hudson. Again, she'll be pitching for Mount Marty in the fall. That next pitch is in for a strike. 1-1. I want to thank Zach Spear for helping me out here, getting this set up. Both of our games ran a little bit late, and then there's a whole teardown setup, haul equipment over. So that pitch is high, 2-1. So this will be an adventure this weekend if we get a lot of these games that are at 10, noon, 2, and 4. At least Zach's stuff is set up. He can help me tear down and set up for my 2 o'clock game. So here's the 2-1 pitch from Moeller to Vavrushka. That's in for a strike. 2-2. So again, Alcester-Hudson in those kind of baby blue pants with the white shirts with the blue pinstripes and the blue Cubs with gold trim, and same with the numbers. Florence-Henry with black pants, blue stockings, white shirt with that white shirt with that black shoulder, and then the blue, their school colors in letters and numbers. Alcester-Hudson has the old-fashioned stockings with the horizontal stripes. Has a nice classic look to it. Here's the pitch. Right back to Muller, right up the middle, and that's going to be a leadoff single for Vavrushka. And so 1 up, 1 hit for Florence-Henry.
Number 15, Elizabeth Ryder.
So that'll bring up Elizabeth Ryder, the pitcher, and then on deck is second baseman Ashlyn Klitska. Short bunt, that throw gets past first baseman. And she will advance to second on the error. So that will be an error for Alcester-Hudson, as they could not contain it at first. And so now Vavrushka is at second base. So 1 ball, no strike to Elizabeth Ryder. That bunt attempt is off the canopy here on the sidelines here. So 1-1. So here's the 1-1 pitch from Moeller to Ryder. She squares to bunt again. And that is, almost caught by Pies. They do have it taken by Moeller over to first. So the sacrifice is successful. Pies almost blew that up, though, as the runner's now at third with 1 down.
Now batting the second baseman, number 12, Ashlyn Klitsky.
So Ashlyn Klitsky now up, second baseman, with Vavrushka at third. On deck is shortstop Kaylee Vavrushka. So here's Moeller's pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 1, 0-1. Bunt attempt is fouled straight back. 0-2. Emma Moeller now ahead 0-2 on Klitsky. Swing and a miss for strike 3. So that is the second out of the inning. First strikeout of the game.
Next batter, the shortstop.
So now with 2 down, that brings up shortstop Kaylee Vavrushka, number 1. On deck, third baseman Emma Caulfield. Swing and a miss. Well, foul tip, 0-1. That pitch is in for a strike. 0-1, 0-2. That's in for called strike 3, and that is the third out of the inning. So, no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 runner left on base at the end of half an inning. It's Alcester-Hudson nothing, Florence-Henry nothing. We'll be back with the bottom of the first after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and our sponsors, including Farmers Co-op, Storm Sewing Company, Copman Heating and Cooling, and Janelle Pearson, Next Home Realty.
Proud to be a sponsor of the Alcester-Hudson Cubs is Copman Heating, Cooling, and Duct Cleaning, LLC, located in Alcester, South Dakota. Copman is your first call for heating, cooling, duct cleaning, and many more services. Copman Heating and Cooling are licensed, bonded, and insured. Contact them today at 605-940-1574. They are available 24/7. Copman Heating and Cooling says, "Go Cubs!"
Pick or place your property with Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty. With licenses in Iowa and South Dakota, Janelle Pearson is the perfect choice to buy or sell your home. Rest assured, as you see the knowledge, hard work, passion, and care that goes into taking care of you. Give Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty a call today at 712-552-7102 to take care of all your home needs. Janelle Pearson is a proud sponsor of this sports broadcast.
Take the ride to Waddy's Bar and Grill in Hudson, South Dakota. It's the best place to eat a great meal, slug a few cold ones, listen to live music, weekend poker runs, and just to have some fun. Waddy's Bar and Grill is open 7 days a week with different events such as pool, volleyball, dart leagues, and more. Waddy's Bar and Grill has the best Bloody Mary ever, as well as delicious food specials, including prime rib, Philly cheesesteaks, ribs, steak, and more. Thanks for taking the ride to Waddy's Bar and Grill. As we enter the bottom half of the second inning, batting for Alcester-Hudson is Paxton Moeller. Emma Solberg attempted to bunt and was taken out at first. So Paxton Moeller, the catcher, is up, and then Emma Moeller, the pitcher, on deck. That pitch is lifted high into shallow right field, coming in and making the catch. For Florence-Henry is Grace
now
Kenke.
The pitcher, number 20, Emma Moeller.
So Emma Moeller looking to help herself out here. The pitcher would love to get on here and get Delta Pies up. So 2 down. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. 0-1. That is nubbed over to second. It'll be a close play at first, and they do just get her. So that is a 4-3 putout. 3 up, 3 down here in the bottom half of the first. So no runs, no hits, no errors. At the end of 1, scoreless tie between Florence-Henry and Alcester-Hudson. We'll be back with more after these messages from Waddy's, Eastway Auto Service in Beersford, and Premier Bank. This is Alcester-Hudson softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion.
Eastway Auto in Beersford and Bobcat introduced the Spring National Sales Event. Now's the time to see Mitch and purchase a brand new Bobcat zero-turn mower. You can buy your next Bobcat mower and choose between 0% financing for up to 60 months or rebates to $2,000. Get that new Bobcat zero-turn mower now for as little as $90 a month, all with qualified credit. The Spring National Sales Event. It's on now at Eastway Auto in Beersford. Now's the time to get that Bobcat zero-turn mower.
Premier Bank, we want you to know that if you're striking out with your bank, we're on deck.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance. First pitch to Emma Caulfield is a ball from Emma Moeller. It's the battle in Emma's. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike one, 1-1. As we are going to be joined by Zach Spear, who got a chance to call the Avon duel game. He's going to take a bite of a hot dog first, so I'm going to mute him because nobody needs to hear that. Here's the 1-1 pitch. It's another swing and a miss. Strike two, 1-2 now to the leadoff batter here in inning number 2. We were just discussing we might be playing some musical setups here as this game got started late, and if A moves quickly, Zach could end up calling an Elk Point Jefferson game. That is not a swing, so ball 2, 2-2. So Caulfield sets up on the left side of the box. Moeller steps onto the rubber, looks in, winds, and delivers. Oh, ho, ho. That didn't miss by much. That's ball 3, 3-2, full count to Caulfield. It's Emma Caulfield, Samantha Fuller, and Andy Rizlov, not Andre Rison, Andy Rizlov. Swing and a miss for strike 3. That is Emma Moeller's third strikeout of the game.
Now batting the first baseman, number 16, Samantha Fuller.
So that brings up first baseman Samantha Fuller for her first at-bat. And left fielder Andy Rizlov on deck. Emma Moeller would love to put him down 1, 2, 3. First pitch in for a strike, 0-1. What sped up that Class A game was they were only allowing 30 seconds between innings, which really, when you start going, that's a minute an inning, all of a sudden that's 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes. So that's in for a strike, 0-2. So you'd think there'd be a uniformity, but we'll see how that stacks up over here. So here's the 0-2 pitch coming to Fuller as Emma Moeller leans in. That's chopped up the middle, fielded by Moeller over to Pies at first for a 1-3 putout. So 2 up, 2 down here in the top of the bottom of the second inning. Top of the second inning. That brings up left fielder Andy Rizlov with 2 down. So, Zach, how did that first game go?
Well, the thing is, Avon played much better than what you would expect out of an 8 seed. As you just saw with Vermilion, they actually got the first lead of the game. It was 1-0. And then in a third inning, there was a 5-run scored by Duel to put them on top. A 3-run shot out to left field. It was a no-doubter. Really felt like the one play that turned the tide of the game. But then the Duel didn't score until the final inning of them batting in the 6th, where they put on a few more, ended up being up 9-1. Avon put out a great effort. It was great pitching from Hagberg of Duel that really, she had 16 strikeouts, only 4 walks, gave up 2 runs, 1 unearned.
And that is ball 1, 1-1. And pitching goes a long way in these games, that is for sure. And we're going to, I saw 2 great pitchers in the A game. Emma Moeller's really good here. I've seen her play. I haven't seen Elizabeth Ryder pitch, but her first inning looked good. That pitch is lifted out into left center field. And that play is made out there by Jaylee Christensen. No, Ava Kingman. Ava Kingma over in the left field. So no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll be back with the bottom half of the second after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs baseball, softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and our sponsors, Premier Bank, Custom Coils, and Hudson Meats and Sauce.
Premier Bank, we want you to know that if you're striking out with your bank, we're on deck, ready to serve your banking needs and help you succeed. Switch to our team today by stopping by any of our Iowa locations in Rock Valley, Rock Rapids, and Dune, or our South Dakota locations in Alcester and Hudson. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I might personally...
Welcome back, and if you heard Zach during all of that, well,
now batting.
That was my bad.
Number 21,
well, getting all the equipment settled out and everything, but we're all good set up here, and so far a great game, scoreless through 1.5.
And leading off is Delta Pies. She skies that, but that will be foul and out of play. And so just a harmless 0-1 now. Pies, one of the leading hitters for this Alcester-Hudson team. I'd take a Tootsie Pop, but I can't get foul balls.
I might actually be able to get a chance. I didn't bring you a hot dog, so I'll get you a Tootsie Pop off a foul ball, Michael.
Exactly. 0-1 is the count to Delta Pies. It'll be Pies, Manning, and Christensen. That pitch off the handle, 0-2.
And a good note to this game is winner will take on the Dual Cardinals, the number 1 seed in Class B. Loser will take on Avon, the 8th seed, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Of course, we'll be covering Avon no matter what, and so we'll be covering another one of these teams for sure. We'll cover Alcester-Hudson as well throughout the tournament.
That is exactly right. Those 10 o'clock games are easy for us to make. Then the Jenga starts. That's fouled off again. Count remains 0-2. I guess we really should have brought a third set of equipment and everything. That pitch is lifted into deep left center field. Back. That is a home run for Delta Pies. Touch them all, Delta Pies. 1-0 in favor of Alcester-Hudson here in the bottom half of the second inning on that home run. I think I said Delta was one of the leading hitters for this team.
That's absolutely how you open up the scoring to a game right there. 0-0, we haven't really seen any hits where you're wondering when somebody's going to finally break that seal. Well, a shot into deep left center just might do that for you.
So nice job by Delta. Now next time Emma Moeller goes out there, she'll be pitching with the lead. So now coming up for Alcester-Hudson, third baseman Jenna Manning, on deck center fielder Jaylee Christensen.
And just going back and back, got great connection on that one. We saw an earlier one going to the outfield, looked like it was going a ways back, but that one you felt like just had a little extra on it. It did, in fact, and of course Alcester-Hudson finds themselves up 1-0 here off a huge hit.
And that is huge, just to get that first lead. So here's the pitch from Ryder, and that is in the dirt. And boy, if Manning hadn't done a little two-step out of the way, probably would have been hit by the pitch. So 1-0 to Manning. Like I said, I set up RSS feeds for everybody, but I can't find it in the saved, so there is not one. But there is a single into left field between shortstop and third for Christensen, or for Manning. So all of a sudden, back-to-back hits for Alcester-Hudson.
Fielder number 6, Jaylee Christensen.
That brings up Jaylee Christensen, the center fielder. On deck, shortstop Lainey Decker.
And I tell you what, out of your 4 or 5 hitters, that's kind of what you expect. Of course, you love to have base runners on for them, but either way, back-to-back base hits, and the Cubs looking pretty good at the plate right now.
And a nice bunt there. Oh, they're going to call that dead ball. They're going to call that a dead ball. So 0-1 on Christensen.
And it did look like that one got a hit off of her. It looked like it maybe wouldn't have been quite as far going out, as I feel a sprinkler, too, of rain here. But it felt like, it was going to be straight to the ground, and as she took off, maybe bounced off her knee, launched it forward a little.
Yeah, and you see a lot more bunting in softball than you really do in baseball anymore, and it's very effective if they can do it correctly. And that is ball 1, 1-1.
And as you were saying, I'll kind of hop on that bunting thing. If you have a lefty who's fast, then you see a lot of bunt attempts. And covering Yankton, that was very frequent with Haley Schulte, who was a lefty. Liza Gurney would sometimes lay down bunts as well.
And that ball, too. And Liza Gurney's dad, Tyler, is up here this weekend umpiring. He was umpiring for that Vermilion-Tanager game. So count is 2-1. As Reiter looks into Jaylee Christensen. Inside, 3-1. And at least we're kind of under a canopy here, so if it does start to rain, it's not too necessarily out in the open. You are, but the equipment's a little bit better protected.
Well, rain won't hurt me. It'll hurt the equipment, so.
So here's the 3-1 pitch. Fouled off, out of play. Full count, 3-2. And Reiter has a really, quick, herky-jerky delivery. All of a sudden, it's this slow, and then all of a sudden, you're just, boom, that ball's coming out. It's a little bit different.
That it is. Not your traditional form.
No, but that is ball 4. So that is the third consecutive base runner for Alcester-Hudson.
Number 9, Laney.
And I tell you what, Alcester-Hudson needs to capitalize on this right now. In a game at State, every team is good. Every pitcher is going to be good. Defense is going to be good all around. You've got to capitalize when you have runners on, no outs.
That ball grounded over to short, to second for 1, and that is all they're going to get. So runners will be at first and third on the fielder's choice.
Next up, second baseman, number 1, Lexi Miller.
And while we have a break here, I'm going to go make sure my equipment stays safe, so I'll be back in a moment.
Sounds good. All right. So now the count, the batter is Lexi Miller, the second baseman. And Decker will take off for second, so now runners at second and third with 1 down. Great opportunity for Alcester-Hudson to try to get another run or two. So Miller fouls that off, 0-2. On deck is Ava Kingma. Pitch is inside, 1-2. And here's where you start worrying about passed balls because a runner at third could advance. Swing and a miss for strike 3, and that is the second out. That is a huge strikeout for Reiter to get that second out of the inning. Brings up batter the bottom of the lineup with Ava Kingma, the left fielder. On deck is the top of the order and right fielder Emma Solberg. That pitch is laced down the right field line. Foul, 0-1. So no balls, 1 strike to Ava Kingma. On deck is right fielder Emma Solberg. That is grounded down the third baseline, fielded there, over to first. It does not pull her off, so that is a 5-3 putout. But in the inning, Alcester-Hudson does get 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, 2 runners left on base. At the end of 2, it's Alcester-Hudson 1, Florence-Henry nothing. We'll be back with the third inning after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance.
Custom Coils is a family-owned global manufacturer of transformers and electronic components located in Alcester. They have been proudly supporting the surrounding communities for over 50 years. Custom Coils is the best choice for a variety of reasons. They're a dependable source built in the United States, a proven leader in the magnetics industry, use solid, reliable manufacturing techniques, and custom design and build to your specifications. Getting the job done the right way since 1967, all while supporting the communities they serve. That's Custom Coils.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball from the state tournament, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and our sponsors like Hudson Meats and Sausage, Custom Coils, Premier Bank, Eastway Auto, Waddy's, Janelle Pearson, Next Home Realty, Copman Heating and Cooling, So Storm Quilt Shop, and Farmers Co-op Society. First pitch is a strike from Emma Moeller. To Brooke Lavacek, and so now it is quickly 0-2. This will be Lavacek, and Vavrushka. So here's the 0-2 pitch. That's in for a called strike 3, and that is Moeller's 4th strikeout of the game here in inning number 3.
Now batting, designated hitter, number 22.
So that brings up designated hitter or designated player Harper Lavacek. Then on deck is catcher Ashlyn Vavrushka. That pitch fouled off. 0-1. Have you had a chance to look at the weather? Is this supposed to be something or not? Or
I've not had a chance. I was just quick covering up my equipment set up at another field here. And just quick came back, now sitting under the tent a little bit further so I can stay a little dry, as we've got 3 more games after this one yet to call. So
we do. That pitch is outside. Count is 1-1. So Emma Moeller with 4 strikeouts already. They're going to say she swung, so 1-2.
And that's something that's really going to affect you in a softball game. The pitcher, it's so important. They can just drastically change the game if they're on a roll. I mean, it is the most important position in softball.
It really is, and that is another strike and another strikeout looking. So that just shows a certain amount of confusion on behalf of the batters, too. It's one thing to be swinging and thinking you have a piece, but to think it's a ball, that's a different level. So if Moeller can keep that up, this could be a nice day for Alcester-Hudson.
And I see 1 run they scored on that, so good defense from Florence-Henry after those initial 3 runners all got on one way or another, if you want to count the home run getting on.
Exactly. And so Ashlyn Vavrushka, the catcher, she singled and got to 3rd in the first inning. She fouls that one off. It's 0-1. That one's a little low and inside, 1-1. So then we still have, Bonholm. Bonholm is the next one, then Gayville Vollen to close out the night in Class B. I have Elk Point Jefferson at 2 o'clock. Or you have Elk Point Jefferson at 2 o'clock, and I have Bonholm. I guess it just depends on how the old game schedule works.
And this game seems to be moving at a pretty quick pace here. Top of the 3rd inning, about 30-ish minutes in. But, again, we'll see. We'll just know that we're covering it all here on 5-Star Streaming.
That pitch is lifted into shallow right field. Coming in and making the catch is right fielder Emma Solberg. So that's a quick 3 outs, no runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on base at the end of 2.5. It's Alcester-Hudson 1, Florence-Henry nothing. We'll be back at the bottom of the 3rd after these messages. Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball brought to you by Murph's Appliance and Farmers Co-op Society.
Looking for a partner you can count on this season? Farmers Co-op Society is here for you, on the farm and beyond. From high-performance agronomy services, expert feed solutions, to trusted grain markets, FCS works alongside you to grow stronger every day, proudly serving our local communities with innovation, integrity, and heart. And from all of us at Farmers Co-op Society, good luck to the Alcester-Hudson softball team at state. You've got this. Farmers Co-op Society, built for business, backed by relationships.
South Dakota's quilt shop destination can be found at So Storm Quilt Shop in Alcester. Bold fabrics, timeless patterns, kits, and more. They have everything you need to bring your project to life and create your new precious heirloom. Every week you can find a new Friday feature or check out their Facebook and Instagram for videos and stay up to date on all new fabrics. Located at 114 East 2nd Street in Alcester, Sew Storm Quilt Shop is a proud sponsor of Alcester-Hudson Athletics and Sewing Up a Storm.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball at the state tournament, brought to you by Murph's Appliance,
second baseman,
along with
Lexi Miller.
Sew Storm Quilt Shop in Alcester. Leading off for Alcester-Hudson will be Emma Solberg, the top of the order actually, Emma Solberg,
right
Paxton
fielder,
Moeller,
Solberg.
and Emma Moeller. So the first pitch to Solberg is a ball, 1-0.
That one back out of play as they were just asking. They needed more softballs. Brought in another one, put out of play here.
So 1 ball, 1 strike. And that is not in the zone either, 2-1. That is outside as well, 3-1. So 3 balls, 1 strike to Emma Solberg. On deck, catcher Paxton Moeller. Swing and a miss. Strike 2, 3-2. I think that would have been ball 4, but you never know, and she thought she had it. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. Payoff pitch coming up to Emma Solberg. On deck, Paxton Moeller. Here's the delivery, and that is high. Ball 4. Emma Solberg is aboard.
Now batting the catcher, number 2.
And credit to Alcester-Hudson. After that first inning, 3 up, 3 down, they're able to get base runners in consecutive innings here, and that's what it takes. You know, you're not going to score them all, but the more you have, the better chances you got.
Exactly, and so Paxton Moeller squares up to bunt. Doesn't offer, but here's a throw down to second, and she is safe. And so that is a stolen base for Solberg. I believe they counted as a strike. It looked like she offered, so 0-1. Sometimes when you know the runner's running, you just stay there and offer to be just a little bit of a distraction.
Absolutely. It makes it harder for the catcher. Get in their way a little bit.
Ooh, must have just been outside. 1-1. Those catchers are a whiny lot, though. You know, they just... Oh, what position did you play?
Yeah, okay. All right. Toughest position on the field, thank you.
It is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grounded down the third baseline. Foul. 1-2. Paxton last year competed in the Miss South Dakota Teen and then the National Miss Teen National. I don't know how she finished, but she did really well. That was down in Florida around Thanksgiving. So we had her on a couple of times. I even bought some cinnamon rolls from her that I mishandled, and so they blew up like a balloon, and so it was more of a donation. Here's the 1-2 pitch, lifted into shallow center field, and that'll drop. Moeller at first, and Solberg at third on the error out in center field. You're the harsher critic. Do you call that an error? It was in the glove.
That's certainly an error. You know, that's one you feel it's maybe not the easiest play, but you feel you got to come down with that. And now again, I hate to say the same thing I said last time, but for Alcester-Hudson, you get a break like that, and you have 2 runners on, no outs. Take advantage of it here. You got to score some runs. You know, 1, even 2 just makes you feel a little bit better. Because at any point, if you're only up 1, any batter can tie it right up.
And Coach Robert Reiter just out there talking to Elizabeth, just kind of making sure, probably settling down, discussing strategy, maybe how they want to handle it, because Emma Moeller's up. Emma Moeller with a really good batter. Again, she's going to be playing at Mount Marty in the fall, and so just a good player, playing as a pitcher, but she's a good batter as well, so can cause some issues. So Paxton Moeller at first, Emma Solberg at third. See if Paxton takes off here. I did notice maybe the catcher for Florence-Henry, not the strongest of arms from what I've seen, but we'll see here. And Paxton takes off, and that is split right between the short and third, and that, even with Paxton taking off, though, fielded cleanly there by Florence-Henry. So just the run coming across on the single by Emma Moeller.
And it doesn't matter, obviously, now with that 1-3 situation, if you're going to get a base hit and score a runner anyways. But just a nice piece of action right there, getting it into left field. That one, no chance at it for the fielders.
And boy, Delta would love to get a hold of another one here. So, of course, Delta scored the first run of the game on a home run. Here's the first pitch to her from Ryder, and that is in the dirt. 1-0.
Issue is there's no out, so you really do not want to intentionally walk her, because then you have bases loaded, no outs, and that just wreaks havoc on a team. It's not easy to come back from that.
It really can. And Delta, big position change this year as the 1-0 pitch comes in from Elizabeth Ryder. That is outside, 2-0. Delta was the shortstop last year, and Coach Moeller really wanted her to adjust to become the first baseman, liked her height, liked her stretch a little bit. But that is a big position change from being shortstop to first base, and takes a big player to be willing to as well, because shortstop's more of a
it's one of those glamorous
players.
It's a glamorous position. There are glamorous positions and there's not so glamorous, and shortstop is kind of seen as probably the number one outside of pitching, and to move over to first base, but as you said, a wingspan, that's important at first.
That is a 4-pitch walk. And part of me just wonders, did you just pitch her really carefully? And if she swings, it's not going to be anything awful. So that is a walk, a 4-pitch walk. And that brings up Jenna Manning now with the bases loaded. Paxton Moeller at third, Emma Moeller at second, and Delta Pies at first. So that brings up Jenna Manning, the third baseman, on deck. Jaylee Christensen. So, man, Alcester-Hudson looking good. Nobody out here in the bottom half of the third inning. And that pitch is out of the zone, 1-0.
And sometimes you really you need that first inning to kind of grasp, feel what the pitcher's giving you, and if after you've seen it once, and then of course your second time, third time around, you really should know. But it helps just getting to see her in the circle.
Chop down the third baseline. That's the one value of bases loaded, though. Force it home. They do get the lead runner. So Manning is aboard by a fielder's choice. Pies goes to second. Emma Moeller to third. Paxton Moeller is out with the first out of the inning, trying to come home. So that is one of the values. That's why you say, we've got to force it every base. But, man, if Jaylee Christensen can get a hold of one here, and she tried, swing and a miss, 0-1.
And that's, force it all four is definitely nicer. It feels nicer anyways. You don't like having more runners, but a runner on second and third, then a grounder. You got to watch the runner, keep them, then go to first, and then worry about if they're sent home.
Oh, and that's what you have to worry about, too. If a ball gets past the catcher, you have a pretty decent-sized backstop area here. It's not huge, but it's also not small. So if the runner is alert at third, they should be able to score. Swing and a miss, strike two. Boy, Christensen, she's trying.
And that's, she's not the one who hit the home run, but sometimes you see someone hit a home run, and then you start swinging for the fences, and that's what causes issue. Michael, after I hit my home run, what I did right after that? My one home run of my career, I struck out.
Ooh, and that one does get past the catcher. Boy, might have been able to, but it was so high. I think if it had been on the ground, you'd be like, okay, it's going to be slower. That thing went all the way to the backstop. I think they're just concerned, okay, what's the ricochet going to be?
Exactly. What's the bounce going to look like? And it got to the fence immediately, as you mentioned. Now, it took a favorable bounce if they had taken off, but you never know.
Hindsight's 20/20 on that one. Ball 3-2. Now, with my speed, I go on every pass ball.
Do ya?
Because I'm going to be out no matter what.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So full count on Christensen. Laney Decker on deck. Full bases are loaded. Here's the pitch. That's lifted into right field. That's going to be caught, but that will allow a tag. And so Emma Moeller comes home, makes the score 3-0 in favor of Alcester-Hudson. That's a nice sacrifice there by Jaylee Christensen.
Shortstop, number 9.
Sack fly gets the job done to an RBI, and it doesn't count against your batting average. Of course, when you're at state, you really don't care about the batting average. You're more worried about the win. A sack fly, though, that's just making sure to put the ball into the field of play. That is the one thing you've got to do when you've got runners on, and Alcester-Hudson has done it so far.
They really have, and so here's Laney Decker, the shortstop. She reached on a fielder's choice her first time up. That pitch is low, 1-0.
And Florence-Henry's also played outside of that one error. They've played some pretty good defense as well, so got to give credit to them as well, especially getting out of an inning where multiple runners are on, no outs, getting out of it with only one run coming across. We'll see how they come out of this inning.
So ball 2, Obviously, you have third base open, so it's not a run-scoring walk if you do walk, but you'd rather not. That's in for a strike. 2-1.
I tell you, the two best personal pitch counts for me as a batter, 2-0, 3-1. Don't like the 3-0, don't like the red light. But 2-0, you know they're coming with something good. 3-1, they still are coming with something good.
Ooh, that's a slow chopper fielded by the shortstop. Over to first, and that will get past the first baseman, and that'll score 1. Will it score 2? There's going to be a play. No, there will not be a play at the plate. On that throwing error, 2 runs score. And that is the first error of the game for Florence-Henry, but boy, it is a biggie. And I don't even... I almost think she was going to be safe no matter what. But
That's
the throwing error
hit.
allowed 2 runs to score.
Yep, that's a base hit.
That is the 4th hit of the game, but a 2-run throwing error that now makes it 5-0 in favor of Alcester-Hudson. So a single for Lainey Decker, a throwing error that led to 2 runs scoring, and that ball is fouled back. 0-1 to Lexi Miller.
And 5-0, that's when you start getting, okay, you feel a little bit comfortable, not to say, because of course you never want to give up any runs, but you head into the next inning, because even if you have bases loaded, if they hit it over the fence, you still aren't tied.
I always call it Grand Slam security.
There you go, Grand Slam security, and that's what Alcester-Hudson has right now.
And that one's lifted into center field. Will that be caught? Yes! That is caught out in center field for the final out. But in the inning,
after 3 innings, your score is Alcester-Hudson 5, Florence-Henry 0.
It's 4 runs. 4 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. At the end of 3, 5-0 in favor of Alcester-Hudson. We'll be back with more Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball in the 4th inning. After this, this is Cubs softball brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion.
Proud to be a sponsor of the Alcester-Hudson Cubs is Cotman Heating, Cooling, and Duct Cleaning, LLC, located in Alcester, South Dakota. Cotman is your first call for heating, cooling, duct cleaning, and many more services. Cotman Heating and Cooling are licensed, bonded, and insured. Contact them today at 605-940-1574. They are available 24/7. Cotman Heating and Cooling says, "Go Cubs!"
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball from the state tournament. I'm Michael Schumacher alongside Zach Spear, where Alcester-Hudson leads 5-0 heading into the 4th inning.
Elizabeth Ryder.
Batting this inning for Florence-Henry will be the pitcher, Elizabeth Ryder, second baseman, Ashlyn Klitzka, and shortstop, Kaylee Vavrushka. Again, a big thank you to our sponsors. That first pitch is in for a strike. Janelle Pearson, Next Home Tri-State Realty, Custom Coils, Hudson Meats and Sauce, So Storm Quilt Shop, Waddy's Bar and Grill, Premier Bank, Farmers Co-op Society, Cotman Heating and Cooling, and Eastway Auto out of Beersford. So count is now 1-1 to Ryder. Ryder, the starting pitcher, would love to help her cause here, and Moeller would like to shut her down.
And Florence-Henry, this feels like you feel like this is a must-have inning where you've got to put some runs up here and try to narrow that gap.
And that is popped up. And getting underneath is the third baseman, Jenna Manning. And so 1 up, 1 down here in the top half of the 4th inning.
I love the communication in the field on that one, Michael. She called it off initially. Her shortstop thought she might have a better angle, so she still moved in, thought, hey, I got it, but she said, nope, clear it out. And then you see her teammate back up. She makes the catch clean, no error. And that communication on fly balls is as important as getting your glove in the air.
It really is. That first pitch is to Klitzka, and that is fouled straight back, 0-1. Moeller really looks like she's dealing. I mean, she looks like she has some good stuff that Florence-Henry is just trying to figure out right now. They're taking some good hacks. They're just not able to figure out location or timing right now.
And what that tells me is she's got a little bit of movement on these pitches, whether it's a fastball or not.
That's high and inside.
Because when you're making contact, but it's, you see those infield flies or straight into the dirt, ground type of things, that means it's moving a little bit to where your swing is not quite there, and it makes it tough on the batters.
Swing and a miss. Strike 2, 1-2. Well, and there's a reason Emma's going to be playing at Mount Marty. Mount Marty is an up-and-coming softball program. in the G-Pack, and so she's going to be one of those, and she'll be good. So here's the 1-2 pitch coming to Klitschko, and that is in the dirt, 2-2.
Right now, if you just keep fighting off when you've got 2 strikes on you. I saw it so much in that Avon game, fouling it off, and of course this one not fouled off, but just so important to force that pitcher to throw you a good strike. You know, you don't want them trying to paint the corners. Those are tough to hit, and you want something. You want something right in the breadbasket, you know? So if you don't love it, but you think it might be called a strike, you're still taking a cut. You're just trying to get a piece of it so that you can get another pitch.
Moeller gets that looked like quite a swing, but first base umpire says no. So that is ball 3, 3-2.
Tough call. I'll let the umpire make the call.
Yeah, that was I don't think they could go wrong either way. That was pretty as borderline as you're going to get.
Right, yeah, not really a wrong call either side.
That was a full swing. Strike 3 there, swing and a miss.
And those are ones
Shortstop.
You know she's frustrated. She knows she shouldn't have swung. She would have been on pace, excuse me. But, you know, I like the aggressiveness. I do like that. But, you know, 3-2, it's tough because you know if it's even close, you got to be swinging.
Exactly. And so that brings up shortstop Kaylee Vavrushka. Made a couple of nice plays out there in defense, and sometimes you can get that to translate to offense, too.
Yeah, overall, just having a good game. Your confidence is up. Softball/baseball, they're both games of confidence. If you go up to the plate and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to be up to the plate right now, I don't think I can hit it, chances are you're not hitting it.
That's in thumb wrestling, too. That is out of the zone, 1-1. Nothing.
You've left me speechless.
Wow. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kaylee Vavrushka, 2 down. Nobody on here in the top of the 4th. You know, still feels early in the game, then all of a sudden you realize there's only a few innings left, and so if Alcester-Hudson can keep scoring a little bit every inning, it makes it a little bit tougher. There's a swing and a miss for strike 2, and if Moeller's dealing like this, you know, Florence-Henry's just not getting those opportunities right now.
And we're 1 out away from being at the halfway point, and that's only if it goes the full 7, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's lifted into shallow center. Coming in and making the catch is Jaylee Christensen. So another 1, 2, 3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on base. At the end of 3.5, it is Alcester-Hudson 5, Florence-Henry nothing. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball from the state tournament, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and our sponsors, including Janelle Pearson, Next Home Realty, and Waddy's Bar and Grill.
Pick or place your property with Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty. With licenses in Iowa and South Dakota, Janelle Pearson is the perfect choice to buy or sell your home. Rest assured, as you see the knowledge, hard work, passion, and care that goes into taking care of you. Give Janelle Pearson of Next Home Tri-State Realty a call today at 712-552-7102 to take care of all your home needs. Janelle Pearson is a proud sponsor of this sports broadcast.
Welcome back to
left fielder number 14.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by by Murph's Appliance. That ball is lifted foul down the right field line, and that is the leadoff batter for Alcester-Hudson in Ava Kingma, the number 9 batter. I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you for our sponsors.
9th hitter, I mean, it's... I know if you look at a stat sheet and you say, well, they're the last batter, they're probably the worst. Your 9th hitter in your lineup is never the worst in the lineup, because the goal is to always, well, she gets hit, rolled into it.
Wow.
Normally you don't see him give them that.
No. She Don Baylored that. She got into it, and yeah, it was almost like as she was kicking away from the
fielder number 7.
Thought she was kicking away from the ball. Her heel kicked up and into it, and it's like, oh, okay.
Anyway, on.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to say if I were the opposing team, I'd be a little like, hey. But no, there's one hit into right field. That's Emma Solberg. That's going to be a double for Solberg. And Kingma rounds third. She's coming home. And that is a run-scoring double. It's now 6-0 in favor of Alcester-Hudson. Wow, that was just
Nice line drive, just out of the reach of the second baseman. And you know what I like to see that I'm seeing from Coach Dean Moeller? Because coaches never get credit when they're doing a good thing. The aggressive base running has paid off for the Cubs right now.
It really is. It's now 6-0. You know, he's a little bit like Tommy Watkins for the Twins, except makes a little bit better decisions. That one's fouled straight back. 0-1. It's Paxton Moeller up.
Well, I'm sure either team wouldn't mind a win streak like the Twins went on not so long ago here.
They've won 20 out of their last 27. I mean, they have the same record now at this point in the season as they did last year.
And with as bad of a season start it was.
Oh, yeah. Feeling like it could be something. Swing and a miss by Paxton. 0-2.
That was a great off-speed pitch right there by Elizabeth Ryder. I don't think she was expecting that off-speed pitch, though, and that's why Moeller way early on that one. And credit there, Ryder, fantastic throw.
That is high. Ball 1. So 1-2 is the count. It's kind of like those old cartoons, though. Remember when they'd throw the slow ball and you'd see the guys swing like 3 times, you're out, 3 times, you're out. Not quite that off speed, but fouled straight back. Count remains 1-2. Go get it, Zach. Go get it. Get us a lollipop. We'll share it.
I don't think I can outrun those kids running in it, Mike.
Nothing on the sharing the lollipop?
You know,
you need to get us 2.
I'd rather not. Okay.
Okay.
1 ball, 2 strikes. All right.
And that hit her, and that was not moved into. That Paxton just couldn't get her back foot out of the way. I mean, she's trying to. So that is another hit by a pitch.
Now batting the
and that puts runners at
Emma Moeller.
Puts runners at first and second with again nobody out, and that brings up Emma Moeller. Boy, she'd really love to help her cause here.
And, you know, that's frustrating. You get 2 strikes on a batter. You kind of feel like you have the upper hand. They're fighting off pitches, just fouling them off and hitting them. Bunt attempt there. Runners still take off, though. Surprised to see that. It worked exactly as Coach Moeller could have hoped, and a ball.
Yep, ball 1, and both runners advance on the double steal, so, yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. And they are very aggressive on the base paths. You will find some teams are just very aggressive on the base paths, and it pays dividends very often. That's in for a strike, though. Evens the count at 1-1.
There's another team here at State I know is aggressive on the bases, and we're going to be covering them. Gayville Vollen. I've seen them a few times, and they are going to send. If that ball's not in the infield and they got a runner heading towards third, they're being sent home.
Yeah, Coach Selcher does love aggressive base running, and it's quite effective. That pitch is fouled off. 1-2. What did that hit?
Well, nearly hit a lady as she was walking by. Luckily, it just hit the drainage on the main building there.
But it gave her a heart attack, so same result.
It was awfully close, and glad there was no contact being made there.
I don't know what I'd do. I might have some palpitations if that happened to me. So Emma Moeller stepping back in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And like I said, I've had the privilege of covering Alcester-Hudson for a few years now, and this is a good team. Coach Moeller has them. They're disciplined. You know, they have the basics down, and that goes a long way in high school softball. It really does. And that pitch is a ball, 2-2.
And as you mentioned, I mean, they were a top 3 in the standings for quite some time. They did end up dropping a little bit there at the end of the season, but you got to be a great team to be in top 3.
And that pitch is lifted by Emma Moeller into left center field, and that is a home run! A 3-run home run by Emma Moeller. I told you she wanted to help herself, and Emma Moeller did. Touch them all, Emma. That is a 3-run home run, and that makes it 9-0. Alcester-Hudson is really clicking, and right now still nobody out. That's the story of this inning.
Now batting.
And of course, now we're nearing that 10 runs, Michael. It's not, of course, been 5 innings, but that 10-run rule, if Florence-Henry unable to score any, should Alcester get up by 10, be a quick game here.
Would be, and if you're Alcester-Hudson, you're not to be counting your chickens. You don't want to do that, but well, you'd love to not put too many pitches on Emma's arm, you know, save her for the next game. But there's a pop out by Pies. And so that is the first out of the inning. But, you know, at a day like this, in a tournament like this where you're playing day after day after day, man, if you can save some pitches on a pitcher's arm, that can pay big dividends.
Absolutely. So if you just even 2, maybe possibly 3, in another team goes the full 7.
Swing and a miss by Jenna Manning. 0-1. Yeah, all those little things play into account, when you're playing 3 consecutive days. That is out of the zone, 1-1. Ball's inside, 2-1. On deck is center fielder Jaylee Christensen. And so, this Alcester-Hudson team, if they get by today, they are strong pitching, offense, defense. And there's a nice play out in the left field, and that will get another runner on. Jenna Manning on with her second hit of the game. Now with 1 down.
Now batting center fielder number 6, Jaylee Christensen.
Go, Jaylee, you're a hitter.
Yeah.
So here's Jaylee Christensen. That bunt attempt is, popped up. You hate to see that. Popped up to the catcher.
And they're a double play.
And they're going to double play. They're going to double her up off of first, and so that's going to end the inning. Wow, so that went from being 9-0 with nobody out to now it's still 9-0 end of the inning. So after 4 innings of play, Alcester-Hudson leads Florence-Henry 9-0. We'll be back with the 5th inning after these messages from our sponsors. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion, along with Eastway Auto in Beersford and Premier Bank.
Take the ride to Waddy's Bar and Grill in Hudson, South Dakota. It's the best place to eat a great meal, slug a few cold ones, listen to live music, weekend poker runs, and just to have some fun. Waddy's Bar and Grill is open 7 days a week with different events such as pool, volleyball, dart leagues, and more. Waddy's Bar and Grill has the best Bloody Mary ever, as well as delicious food specials, including prime rib, Philly cheesesteaks, ribs, steak, and more. Thanks for taking the ride to Waddy's Bar and Grill.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and our other sponsors, including Premier Bank, Eastway Auto, Custom Coils, and Hudson Meats and Sausages. So batting this inning for Florence-Henry as they try to get back into this game, it'll be Emma Caulfield, Samantha Fuller, and Andy Rizlov. Caulfield struck out her first time up.
And as I had mentioned the last inning, I said you felt like it was a must-have for Florence-Henry. Now you're down 9-0. You really feel you got to get some runs here.
You got to put a crooked number up there.
Absolutely. So the Falcons will see if they're up to the challenge here. But as you said, when Emma Moeller is pitching like this, it can be tricky.
But that is ball 2-0, and they'll take a runner no matter, based on however they can get it. So Caulfield sitting in there. And that is high, 3-0. Sometimes in a long inning like that, when your pitcher is resting for a while, so 3-0 count. That's in for strike number 1, 3-1 on Caulfield.
And you know what I say the guaranteed 3 things in life are, Michael? Life, death, and a strike on a 3-0 count.
Exactly. So 3 balls, 1 strike. Here's Emma Moeller looking to get that first out. That is high. And, boy, you don't see that too often, but that one was over the head of the catcher. And Paxton is fairly tall and can jump. And yeah, that was a no-doubter.
Yeah, and that's if you get a late release on that as your arm is coming back up. Even just a slightly late release, your arm's just even that much higher when you release it, and a higher trajectory on that. Throw down to first. Just barely got back, Michael. That was a close one, and I bet she takes one less step on her lead next time.
And Paxton Moeller is known for that, those snap throws down to down to first.
As we mentioned, I used to catch. I love that play.
So 1 ball, no strikes. 2-0 now. And so all of a sudden, Emma finding a little bit of control issues here.
And Florence-Henry hoping to get a couple runners on, no outs.
So 2-0 is the count. That ball's grounded right up the middle, taking it short. Oh, no! The second baseman dropped it, and so it's going to be runners at first and second. So that is an error on the second baseman. And so Samantha Fuller is aboard via fielder's choice.
Next batter, the left fielder.
Who said softball is not a contact sport?
Exactly, but that will be an error on the second baseman because the lead runner would have been out. So runners at first and second, nobody out now. And that brings up Andy Risloff, the left fielder.
Great opportunity here, though, for Florence-Henry.
That ball's fouled straight back, 0-1.
But now we've seen Mueller after that walk and then, starting out down 2-0, back-to-back strikes, throwing a good sign for Alcester-Hudson. But again, Florence-Henry, they're feeling like, all right, we can start working our way back into this.
That ball fouled off as well, 0-2.
Same spot as where the last one went.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's chopped foul. Count remains 0-2 with runners at first and second. So no balls, 2 strikes to Andy Risloff, the left fielder. On deck, Brooke Lavacek. At first, you have Samantha Fuller. At second, Emma Caulfield. So this is Florence-Henry's first real rally at all. And so nobody out. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And so that's exactly what you needed if you were Emma Mollers, to get that first out without the chance of runners advancing. And so now Brooke Lavacek, the center fielder, comes up. She struck out looking in the third inning. Harper Lavacek will be on deck. So now 1 down, runners at first and second. Pitch is low, but Paxton Moller's so good back there. She doesn't let too much get by her, so 1-0 is the count, except for that one that was high.
Yeah, and wild pitches you can't really blame her for, but really, yeah, I mean, just being a brick wall behind home plate, if you don't let runners advance unless there's a base hit, it's hard to score runs.
And that is high. 2-0. And she's so quick out of that crouch. I mean, whether you're catching a high pitch or getting out of that crouch to snap a throw over to first with full force, she is so good at that.
Emma Moeller, she thought about throwing it over to first after she got it back, too, on that pitch.
Yeah, she did. That is fouled off. 2-1. So Lavacek, again 0 for 1, struck out looking. Here's a 2-1 pitch coming from Moeller. Moeller has an interesting form. She has it to the side there. That pitch is lifted foul. That's going to be popped up, but that will be just out of play as Paxton tried to make the valiant effort. I think catchers just sometimes do that to look like they're trying. But it's 2-2.
Funny enough, you get a catcher doing color for you, and all of a sudden you don't sound like a big fan of catchers.
No, I really am a fan of catchers. I think they control so many runs just with passed balls, or even a good catcher that gets that throw down to second, keeping them from trying to steal or advance. No, I just like giving you grief.
Got to be the general on the field.
Exactly. So 2 balls, 2 strikes on Lavacek. Moeller looks at her armband, decides what pitch she's pitching. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Emma Moeller trying to salvage this inning, but letting those first 2 runners on. She's been pitching from behind and at a disadvantage this entire inning. But now, still runners at first and second, but now 2 down and a force at third, second, first. You feel pretty good right now. But now you have a left-handed batter in the designated hitter, Harper Lavacek. She struck out looking also in the third inning. I think that's when I said she's getting a lot of them striking out looking, so she's getting something right. But that first pitch was a ball, 1-0.
Not sure what the confusion was there. As you hear some numbers being called, and another throw to first. That's aggressive. Now, I personally, 2 outs, I wouldn't risk it. But I do appreciate the aggressiveness.
Is there something to it, though, as to how deflating it would be if you ended the inning on that and killed a rally? You know what I mean? That's strike 2, 1-2, and another throw.
Now they'll try it again. She wants to get her at first, and you know what? I do understand that there is no better feeling as a catcher than throwing somebody out. You know, you can have a catch, you can get a bunt, throw over to first, but just not quite the same.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Harper Lavacek, and a swing and a miss for strike 3. So Emma Moeller allows Caulfield on and Fuller on, runners at first and second, nobody out, and then she strikes out the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 runners left on base. At the end of 4.5, it's Alcester-Hudson 9, Florence-Henry nothing. We'll be back after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion.
Eastway Auto in Beersford and Bobcat introduced the Spring National Sales Event. Now's the time to see Mitch and purchase a brand new Bobcat zero-turn mower. You can buy your next Bobcat mower and choose between 0% financing for up to 60 months or rebates to $2,000. Get that new Bobcat zero-turn mower now for as little as $90 a month, all with qualified credit. The Spring National Sales Event. It's on now at Eastway Auto in Beersford. Now's the time to get that Bobcat zero-turn mower.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion. Alcester-Hudson leads 9-0 here heading into the bottom half of the 5th inning. 1 run will end it, and there's a swing and a miss to lead things off. That is a swing and a miss by Lainey Decker. Lainey with a single and a fielder's choice, so 1 for 2 on the day. Boy, she almost swung at that one.
Thought about it for a while.
So count is 1-1.
That was the right call to not swing.
Oh, it was. It most definitely was. There's a swing, 1-2.
So aggressive at the plate, you know, maybe biting at the chomp a little too much here.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So 1 up, 1 down here in the bottom half of the 5th inning.
And Florence-Henry's got to be happy with that. Get the first out. All right, now you're feeling a little bit better. Again, if Alcester-Hudson scores that run, that is a 10-0 game.
And it brings up that number 8 hitter. You know, you'd love to maybe not get the top of the order just yet. That's a short little flare into right field, and that will be caught out there for the 2nd out of the inning. So quickly, 2 up and 2 down, and that brings up left fielder Ava Kingma, hit by a pitch in the 4th inning and grounded out to 3rd in the 2nd. That pitch fouled off. So no balls, 1 strike to Ava Kingma. Emma Solberg on deck. She has scored twice, walked and doubled. That ball's chopped up the middle to second baseman, and that is through for a hit. And boy, those are the kind of plays that are deflating.
Absolutely. You know, you had that 3 up, 3 down inning. Now you get to the top of the lineup for Alcester-Hudson.
Because you were about to have your first 1-2-3 inning since inning number 1. And so all of a sudden an error takes that away. You have a runner on first, and Emma Solberg, a really nice batter, up, and that's going to foul off out of play. 0-1.
Well, stay in play. Bounced off the top of the fence back in.
Oh, okay. because Solberg is 1 for 2 with a walk, a double, and she bunted in front of the catcher. The catcher got it, threw it to first. Didn't catch it, fielded it. 0-1 count. That is high. 1-1.
And if you're Florence-Henry, you're just thinking, get this one, send it to another inning, give ourselves at least one more chance here.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
And if they can get this here, they'll have a little bit of momentum. Still lots of work to do.
It's kind of like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's always a chance in softball and baseball.
Well, that's what's great. There is no timer. That is lifted into the outfield, and that will be another one. And Kingma will go around to third. So again, aggressive base running on the single by Emma Solberg.
Paxton Muller at the plate. She has got a chance to end this one, Michael. A huge at bat, but 2 outs. Florence-Henry needs to have this one here. There is one open base, a walk, you don't necessarily want it, but...
Especially because Emma's coming up next, who just homered her last time up. Strike one as she looked to be bunting. And man, I tell you, Florence-Henry was all over that.
And you feel like that was maybe just a little smoke screen to get their runner to second. A little extra opportunity.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. Woo! 0-2. This is high drama. This is like the Real Housewives of Orange County.
I guess I can't comment on that.
I've never watched it, but it looks dramatic on clips I've seen.
Okay.
Here's 0-2. Popped up. And that is caught. Wow. All right, we are going to inning number 6.
The end of 5, your score, 9-0, Alcester-Hudson. The University of South Dakota welcomes you to
no runs.
At USD, you'll find
one hit. One error, 2 runners left on base. At the end of 5, it's Alcester-Hudson 9. Florence-Henry, nothing. We'll be back with the 6th inning after these messages. From our sponsors, this is Alcester-Hudson Cubs Softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion and Premier Bank.
The way you like to bank, Premier Bank, Premier Bank.
At Premier Bank, we want you to know that if you're striking out with your bank, we're on deck, ready to serve your banking needs and help you succeed. Switch to our team today by stopping by any of our Iowa locations in Rock Valley, Rock Rapids, and Dune, or our South Dakota locations in Alcester and Hudson. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Custom Coils is a family-owned global manufacturer of transformers and electronic components located in Alcester. They have been proudly supporting the surrounding communities for over 50 years. Custom Coils is the best choice for a variety of reasons. They're a dependable source built in the United States. That's Custom Coils.
Nebraska.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs Softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance and Custom Coils. Leading off this 6th inning for Florence-Henry is number 2, Ashlyn Vavrushka, and that will be a single for Vavrushka. And so a runner on base. And so with the runner on first, it is now Elizabeth Ryder, the pitcher, fouls that off. As she would again love to help herself. As Zach is going to go and start setting up for EPJ, which was not in his plan. We held off as long as we could. So here's the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. And so Elizabeth Ryder is the first out of this inning.
Second baseman, number 12, Ashlyn Klitsky.
That brings up Ashlyn Klitsky. So 1 down, 1 on for Ashlyn Klitsky. She has struck out twice today. That is fouled straight back, 0-1. That's strike 2, 0-2. So Emma Moeller pitching well. Now Alcester-Hudson, if they would they hold off Florence-Henry and then they score a run in the bottom of this inning, that would be the end of the game as well. That pitch is high, 1-2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. That pitch is inside, 2-2. On deck is shortstop Kaylee Vavrushka. So 2-2 pitch from Emma Moeller coming up here. Pitch is fouled off, count remains 2-2. Fouled back. Again, count remains 2-2. That is ball 3. So fighting back is Ashlyn Klitska. It's now a full count, 3-2. Again, with 1 down and 1 on here in the top half of the 6th inning. And on 5-Star Streaming, where we are, Zach Spears getting set up to bring you Elk Point Jefferson. Swing and a miss for strike 3. That's the 11th strikeout for Emma Moeller. Brings up Kaylee Vavrushka. Kaylee struck out looking in the first and flew out to center in the 4th. That pitches a ball, 1-0. And that's in for a strike, 1-1. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down, 1 on here in the top half of the 6th inning. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 1-2. So it's 1-2 to Kaylee Vavrushka. That's lifted into left field just over the outstretched glove at short, and that throw will head into 3rd, and she will be safe as Lainey Decker couldn't quite get to it, so Kaylee Vavrushka ends up with a double. As Ashlyn Vavrushka is now on 3rd, so runners on 2nd and 3rd. Florence-Henry looking to try to get a couple runs on the board, but they do have 2 outs. Brings up Emma Caulfield. Caulfield struck out in the 2nd and reached on an error well, walked and then reached on an error. First pitch is a ball, 1-0. Pitch is fouled off, 1-1. So again, this is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance, along with our other sponsors, Hudson Meat and Sausage, Custom Coils, Premier Bank, Eastway Auto in Beersford, Waddy's, Janelle Pearson, Next Home Realty, Koppman Heating and Cooling, Soul Storm Quilt Shop, and Farmers Co-op Society. We want to thank each of them for their sponsorship. Allow Zach and I to come up here and bring you these games. Alcester-Hudson, Avon, Bon Home, Gayville-Vollen, Elk Point Jefferson, and Vermilion. So here's the 1-1 pitch coming to Emma Caulfield. Runners on second and third. That is right up the middle, and that is going to score 2 runs. There's going to be a play at the plate, and she is safe. That is 2 runs on the single for Emma Caulfield. That makes it 9-2 now. 9-2.
Now batting the first baseman, number 16,
So
Samantha Fuller.
Florence-Henry still has some life. Still has life to it. 9-2 here in the top half of the 6th inning. But 2 down. Brings up first baseman Samantha Fuller, who grounded back to the pitcher in the second and reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th. That's in for a strike, 0-1. That pitch grounded down the third baseline, 0-2. And that is a called strike 3, so they are out of the inning. But in the inning, Florence-Henry scores 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base. At the end of 5.5, it is now Alcester-Hudson 9, Florence-Henry 2. We'll be back after these messages from our sponsors. And this is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion.
Custom Coils is a family-owned global manufacturer of transformers and electronic components located in Alcester. They have been proudly supporting the surrounding communities for over 50 years. Custom Coils is the best choice for a variety of reasons. They're a dependable source built in the United States, a proven leader in the magnetics industry, use solid, reliable manufacturing techniques, and custom design and build to your specifications. Getting the job done the right way since 1967, all while supporting the communities they serve. That's Custom Coils.
Welcome back to Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion. First pitch to Emma Moeller is in for a strike, 0-1. It'll be Emma Moeller, Delta Pies, and Jenna Manning coming up for Alcester-Hudson. Now, if they wanted to end the game, they would need to score 3 runs in this inning. And right now, behind 0-1. That was grounded over to short. Easy play over there. 6-3 put out for out number 1. Now to bring up first baseman Delta Pies. On deck, third baseman Jenna Manning. Pies homered in the second, walked in the third, and flew out to the third baseman in the 4th. Foul ball, 0-1. That ball's grounded into right field. That will be a single for Delta Pies. So now a runner on first with one down here in the bottom half of the sixth inning. Brings up Jenna Manning, who has singled, reached on a fielder's choice, and singled so far today. On deck, center fielder Jaylee Christensen. First pitch is lifted into center field, going back, and that is another home run for Alcester-Hudson, making the score 11-2. 11-2 on 8 hits now for Alcester-Hudson. Gives Alcester-Hudson that 9-run lead back, the third Cub to homer today for Alcester-Hudson. Again, makes it 11-2. That brings up center fielder Jaylee Christensen. On deck, shortstop Lainey Decker. So Delta Pies, Emma Moeller, and Jenna Manning have all homered now today. That pitch is popped up. And that is fielded by the third baseman for the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up shortstop Lainey Decker. First pitch outside, 1-0. And that is a hit by a pitch, so that puts a runner aboard. So Lainey Decker
Number 1, Lexi Miller.
is aboard. That brings up Lexi Miller. Miller is struck out, flown out to center, and flown out to right. That is grounded to short, and that will be safe on the error. So now runners at first and second.
Next up, left fielder, number 14, Ava Kingma.
Swing and a miss. Strike one, 1-1. That one's hit foul. So 1-2. With 2 down here in the bottom half of the sixth inning. Ball 2, 2-2. That is ball 3, 3-2. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the payoff pitch. That is hit to second. Will it spin away? Will there be a play at first? And there will. And we will move on to the 7th. But in the inning, Alcester-Hudson scores 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, 2 runners left on base. At the end of 6th, it's Alcester-Hudson 11, Florence-Henry 2. We'll be back with inning number 7 after these messages. This is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance on Main Street in Vermilion.
Hudson Meats and Sausages is a USDA inspected locker that's located in Hudson, South Dakota. Hudson Meats and Sausages is South Dakota certified, organically certified, and an animal welfare approved plant. Custom processing of beef, pork, and lamb. a full line of retail meats, sausages, and their very own smokehouse. They take pride in every piece of meat they process. The quality of service guarantees you'll be satisfied with any cut of meat you get from Hudson Meats and Sausages.
Leading off for the Falcons, left fielder number 7, Andy Rizlov.
So leading off this inning for Florence-Henry will be Andy Rizlov, followed by Brooke Lavacek and Harper Lavacek. Hits that to third, fielded there. Throw over to first, will not be in time. Does get past the first baseman, and that will lead to the runner advancing to second. So that is a single for Rizlov, and then an error.
Now batting center fielder number 10, Brooke Lavacek.
So Brooke Lavacek comes up with a runner on second. Now, it's the top of the 7th. Florence-Henry needs to score 9 runs to keep the game going. Lavacek struck out looking in the 3rd and struck out swinging in the 5th. Swing and a miss, strike 1, 0-1. Swing and a miss for strike 2. Oh, 0-2 is the count. Nobody out. She squares to bunt. And that's a popped foul, and that would have been out either way. So Rizlov stays at second. Lavacek
now batting the designated player
pops up to third
Harper
base,
Lavacek.
brings up designated player Harper Lavacek. She again has struck out looking in the 3rd and swinging in the 5th. So now 1 down with a runner on first. Lavacek is a left-handed batter. Fouled up and out of play. Own one. So the count is 0-1. Moeller winds and delivers. That one is low, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's low, 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on here in the top half of the 7th. Florence-Henry needing to score 9 to keep the game going. Two and 2. Swing and a miss for strike 3. That is the second out of the inning. So now Florence-Henry down to their final out.
Now batting the catcher, number 2, Ashlyn Baruska.
That is 13 strikeouts for Emma Moeller. So scores 11-2. And Ashlyn Vavrushka hits that into center field. And that will hit the fence. And so that'll score 1 run on the double by Vavrushka. So makes it 11-3 for Florence-Henry.
Number 15, Elizabeth Ryder.
Brings up pitcher Elizabeth Ryder. Ryder has sacrificed in the 1st, popped out to 3rd in the 4th, and struck out swinging in the 6th. That's in for a strike, 0-1. Pitch is popped up, too short, and that will be the third out of the inning, and that will be the game in the inning. 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, 1 runner left on base. At the end of the game, it's Alcester-Hudson 11, Florence-Henry 3. This has been Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance, as well as our sponsors: Hudson Meats and Sausages, Custom Coils, Premier Bank, Eastway Auto in Beersford, Waddy's Bar and Grill, Janelle Pearson, Next Home Realty, Kopman Heating and Cooling, So Storm Quilt Center, Quilt Shop, and Farmers Co-op Society. All right, stay tuned, and we'll be hopefully up. I'll get switched over, and we will be bringing you the next game featuring Bonhomme versus Mobridge Pollock. All right, this is Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball, brought to you by Murph's Appliance. We'll be back tomorrow for more Alcester-Hudson Cubs softball in the championship bracket. So we'll stay tuned for that. All right, we'll be back just kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do here with Bonhomme softball.